Have you ever stopped to think how one single really profound act of suffering could potentially link to just this huge range of benefits? Things like physical healing, sure, but also maybe a complete change in someone's destiny.
It's a fascinating question.
Right. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that kind of idea, a powerful theological concept, the efficacy of the healing stripes of Jesus.
And efficacy there really just means the power, the effectiveness of those strikes. Does it actually do something?
Exactly. And this whole concept, it pulls heavily from specific Bible passages, claiming these really profound effects that supposedly stem from Christ's suffering.
Yeah, the source material we're looking at today is pretty comprehensive. It's an outline from a message by Pastor 𝐕𝐞𝐬𝐻 titled, Well, the Efficacy of the Healing Stripes of Jesus.
And it's packed with scriptures. Isaiah 53, 1 Peter 2, Matthew 8, loads more. It's like a real tapestry of claims and interpretations. So our mission today is basically to unpack this source. We want to explore the specific claims being made about Jesus' suffering, what it supposedly achieved, and this really extensive list of benefits attributed to it.
We'll try to pull out the core insights, maybe some surprising details too, just to give you a clear picture of this particular perspective.
Yeah, get ready for some aha moments, hopefully, as we look at how these ancient texts are presented as being, well, incredibly relevant to everyday life. Everything from dealing with grief to, like, securing your future.
Okay,
so let's unpack this. The foundational idea, it really kicks off with Christ's suffering itself.
Right. The source really centers this around some key passages. You mentioned Isaiah 53, verse 5 is huge here.
Yeah, it says, but he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed.
And then 1 Peter 2.24 kind of echoes that, doesn't it? By whose stripes you were healed.
It does. And when we hear transgressions, iniquities, that's about our wrongdoing, right?
Yeah.
Our sins.
And the chastisement of our peace, the source interprets that as the punishment he took so we could have peace with God. It's substitutionary.
So what's really insightful here, according to the source, is the assertion that Christ suffered from his trial to his crucifixion so that we can be healed.
Yeah, it's presented not just as something that happened, but something with a very deliberate purpose. The material is quite clear. Everything Christ went through was, and this is a quote, for our benefit, profit, and on our account.
For us.
For us. And this is kind of underlined by how the source describes Christ's character: sinless, spotless, blameless, faultless, holy, righteous, all these perfect terms.
Right.
It emphasizes he had no sin or fault of his own that he could have been condemned for. That's drawing from Isaiah 53 and 1 Peter 2 as well.
So, okay, practically speaking then, what does this mean for people, grappling with their own burdens? With grief or pain?
Well, the source actually brings in a specific story, the story of Jabez from 1 Chronicles.
Oh yeah, Jabez. He prayed that famous prayer, "Oh, that thou wouldest bless me indeed and enlarge my coast, keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me."
Exactly. And the text says God granted him that which he requested.
Okay.
And the source connects this directly. It claims that because Christ has borne our grief, anything causing you grief is essentially taken away, just like Jabez's potential grief was averted.
Wow, so it reinforces that quote you mentioned from Pastor 𝐕𝐞𝐬𝐻. Everything Christ suffered was for our benefit, profit, and on our account. It's like a fundamental spiritual burden lifting.
Precisely. And, building on that idea of personal benefit, what's fascinating is how the source then kind of maps out the reach of Christ's suffering. It categorizes it into these enduring promises that go way beyond just, say, physical healing.
Okay, so what are these categories?
Well, the first one is about physical restoration. Big emphasis on we are healed.
Right, like Matthew 8:1-17, himself took our infirmities and bare our sicknesses.
Exactly. The source states it quite boldly. Christ has perfected our healing through his suffering and death on the cross.
Perfected. Like it's already done.
That's the implication. It's not something you're necessarily striving for, but something already accomplished through Christ's work. The source even encourages you to make it a personal confession. I am healed.
Interesting. And then beyond the physical.
Beyond the physical, the source emphasizes we are saved. It uses 1 Peter 2, verses 24 and 25.
The part about him bearing our sins in his own body on the tree so we could live unto righteousness.
Yeah.
And it mentions being like sheep going astray, but now return to the shepherd.
Right. Pastor 𝐕𝐞𝐬𝐻's message, according to the outline, makes it very tangible. If you are saved, your heavy load of sin and condemnation have been taken away by Christ. Simple as that.
Okay. So healing, salvation. What else?
The material also talks about we have conquered.
Conquered, like in battle?
Not physical battle, no.
Yeah.
It draws from Christ's example, again in 1 Peter 2, how he didn't retaliate when he was insulted or when he suffered.
Ah, right. He committed himself to him that judgeth righteously.
Exactly. So the conquering here is presented as conquering through righteous endurance, through following his example.
Got it. Healing, salvation, conquering. Seems pretty comprehensive already.
Well, hold on, because this next category, release justified, this is where the source claims an incredible breadth of freedom.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. Released from what?
Well, first, release from condemnation, future judgment, and suffering of hell.
Wow. Big claims.
Yeah, citing 1 Peter 3.18. Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God.
The just for the unjust, meaning him for us.
That's the interpretation here. He, the just, suffered in place of the unjust. That's us specifically to bring us to God and free us from those ultimate consequences of sin.
Okay. What else falls under this release?
Well, it connects directly to Jesus being our substitute, suffering in our place to make us righteous. That's based on 2 Corinthians 5.21.
For he hath made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him.
Exactly. The idea is we're giving God's righteousness because Christ took our sin. It's a swap.
A divine exchange.
Kind of, yeah. And then there's freedom from the curse. Galatians 3.13 is the key text. Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us.
The curse of the law. What exactly is that referring to?
Generally understood as the spiritual penalties, the condemnation that comes from failing to perfectly keep God's law.
Which no one can do.
Right. So the claim here is blunt. Jesus bore the curse for you to set you free. You are free indeed.
So all this talk about release,
Yeah.
it leads into justification, right? What does that actually mean according to this source?
Yeah, the source, looking at Isaiah 53 and Romans 5, defines justification in a way that really stands out. It says, when you are justified, God looks at you as if you have never committed any sin in your life.
Wow.
Because Christ has borne our iniquities. So it's a legal declaration. You're declared innocent, not based on what you did, but purely on what Christ did.
As if it never happened.
That's the idea presented. And the final piece of this release category is deliverance from darkness and the devil.
Okay.
Hebrews 2.14 says, through death, Christ destroyed him that had the power of death, that is, the devil. And Colossians 1 adds that believers have been delivered from the power of darkness.
So the source interprets this to mean that these spiritual forces of darkness
Will not have dominion over you anymore. That's the claim. A complete liberation from spiritual oppression.
Okay, so if we take all the foundational claims about suffering, these enduring promises of healing, salvation, conquering, release, justification, what does this actually look like day to day for someone who believes this?
Well, that's where the source moves into what it calls the expansion and extension of Christ's provisions. It argues these benefits cascade far beyond just the initial stuff, touching almost, well, every part of life.
Expansion and extension, like more benefits.
Exactly. More concrete, everyday type benefits, for instance, in the realm of family. It uses a story from Genesis where Abraham prayed and God healed Abimelech's household so they bear children.
Right.
And the source draws a parallel, claiming your healing will be accompanied by miracle children. It extends the blessing beyond the individual to, say, overcoming barrenness or blessing family lines.
That's quite specific. What else?
It talks about destiny and provision. Exodus 23 is quoted where God says, behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared.
An angel guide.
Yeah. And the source interprets this promise as, you will not miss your destiny and you will not miss divine provision. It's presented as like a guaranteed path and a secure future.
Wow. So guidance, provision.
And protection and long life, too. Big emphasis on that. It pulls from Exodus 23 again, and also a story in 2 Kings.
What kind of protection?
The source claims God will be an enemy unto thine enemies. He'll take sickness away, ensure fruitfulness, nothing cast their young, nor be barren, and fulfill the number of thy days.
Fulfill the number of your days. So, long life.
Yeah, even promising many more years to your life based on the Hezekiah story in 2 Kings. It's a really holistic promise of security and longevity.
Sounds like a complete package of well-being.
It really does. The source also argues for a holistic renewal. It looks at Psalm 103.
Oh, the one that starts, "Bless the Lord, O my soul."
That's the one. Verses 1 to 5 talk about God forgiving iniquities, healing diseases, redeeming life from destruction, crowning with loving kindness, satisfying with good things.
So that thy youth is renewed like the eagles.
Exactly. And the source interprets all of that together. Healing comes bundled with forgiveness, redemption, mercy, good things, and renewal of strength. It's a total package deal.
Forgiveness, healing, redemption, mercy, good things, strength. What else is in this extended possessions category?
Deliverance and peace are highlighted too. Psalm 107 speaks of God sending his word to heal and deliver from their destructions. Psalm 147 talks about healing the brokenhearted and binding up wounds. And Isaiah 57 is used, where God says, "I will heal him, restore comforts unto him. Peace, peace to him that is far off and to him that is near." So deep emotional and spiritual restoration.
It keeps expanding. Does it get into things like prosperity or success?
Absolutely. Prosperity and progress are definitely part of it, according to the source. It connects physical and spiritual well-being to tangible impact on life circumstances.
How so? Which texts?
Isaiah 58 and Jeremiah 30 and 33 are key here. The source pulls out promises like, "Thy health shall spring forth speedily," answered prayers, and progress.
Progress in life.
Yes, and even a call for the believer to become the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in.
So not just receiving blessings, but becoming someone who brings restoration.
That's the vision presented. Plus, promises of multiplication, being glorified, being cleansed, leading ultimately to an abundance of peace and truth, and becoming a name of joy, a praise, and an honor before all the nations. It's a very outward-facing success, too.
That's a huge scope, from personal healing to national honor.
It culminates in what the source calls ultimate well-being. Malachi 4 talks about the Son of Righteousness arising with healing in his wings.
A famous verse.
And 3 John 1.2, "I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth."
Linking health and prosperity to the soul's condition.
Right. So the source concludes from these that sickness, infirmity, impotence, and infertility are gone, and that it's basically a time to prosper.
Prosper in every sense. Health, finances, soul.
That seems to be the implication. A flourishing life in, well, pretty much every dimension, all flowing from the initial work of Christ's suffering.
And is there anything about, like, how quickly this happens? Does prayer get answered faster?
Funny you should ask. That's actually the final point highlighted in this section. Immediate answered prayers.
Really?
Yeah, based on Isaiah 65.24, "Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear."
Wow, that's immediate.
Very. The source claims, "The heavens are open, and the rain of miracles and showers of blessings are coming upon you." It paints this picture of just incredibly rapid, direct divine response.
Okay. It's genuinely incredible to just step back and absorb the sheer volume, the breadth of the claims presented here.
It really is.
From very specific physical healing all the way through overcoming deep grief, achieving your destiny, financial security, even influencing future generations with miracle children.
This deep dive really shows how meticulously the source connects that one act, Christ's suffering, his stripes, to this vast, vast panorama of benefits. It's quite a theological structure.
It really is a remarkable tapestry, as we said earlier.
And it definitely raises a question, I think, for you, the listener. How do these really profound, really far-reaching claims about the healing stripes of Jesus, how do they maybe reshape your understanding of the link between sacrifice and, well, comprehensive well-being, at least as it's presented within this specific theological framework?
Yeah, it's worth considering what it means for a belief system to offer such an incredibly broad spectrum of solutions. You know, addressing everything from a physical ailment right up to your life's purpose, your provision, even impacting generations to come.
All traced back to one foundational event.
Exactly. All stemming from that single act of suffering. So maybe think about which aspects of these extended possessions, whether it's the promise about destiny or protection, or maybe that idea of immediate answered prayers, which parts stand out most to you? What resonates or perhaps challenges you based on your own experiences and hopes? Lots to think about there.